Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills once again fell just short to making the Super Bowl as they lost in the AFC Championship to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they go into the 2025 offseason wondering how they can keep on improving to get back in that situation and finally come out victorious. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down what you can expect the Buffalo Bills to do this 2025 offseason. But before we do that, if you like the content that the Tracy Take puts out and you want to help the channel grow, easiest way is hitting that subscribe button, smashing that bell to get notified when new videos come out, and leaving a like and a comment. Let us know what you want the Bills to do this offseason and why. And Ryan, tough game this past Sunday for the Buffalo Bills. I think everybody in America outside of the little bubble that covers part of Kansas and Missouri, I think was rooting for Buffalo to win this game here. But in general, though, I think this is still a positive for the Bills. And obviously, you wanted to win, but a lot of teams were not really projecting this Bills team to be very good this year after moving on from Stephon Diggs. And then you kind of wonder what the situation is going to be for this team as they're entering like into the season as well. You had Aaron Rodgers coming back. Miami, are they going to finally make it with Tua? You know, the Patriots draft Drake May. And after all that, they still dominate this division pretty well. And Josh Allen didn't even have a 1,000-yard receiver. You know, Khalil Shakir was his leading receiver at 821 yards. I know it's
Yeah.
tough to hear as of right now, but I think you guys almost kind of had like your own secret, like random, really successful season, something similar I think Kansas City's had the past 2 years, where like you guys weren't supposed to be really good this year. Yet Josh Allen is an absolute superstar. You've got a lot of good players around him, and I think you guys can even improve on more with this in this offseason. So I want to throw it over to you. That's just my kind of initial thoughts on it. Maybe I'm looking at it as a glass half full guy. But what are your thoughts kind of on the Bills 2024 season? And do you think like that this was like as low as the Bills can get and they can only keep improving on from here?
I mean, I definitely think this team has a high floor. This was by far the most impressive season that I've seen from Josh Allen. I know he's had flashier stats
Yeah.
than this, but just the efficiency that he was able to operate with, I think, really speaks to his development and the job that Joe Brady has done at offensive coordinator. And this defense, I think these stats are pretty like resemble pretty much what this defense was. I think it was an average defense that had some really good games against some poor offenses, and then some bad games against some good offenses, i.e., the Lions game, the Rams game. They were able to win one of those and lose one in a shootout. But all in all, I think this defense did end up struggling at the end, just kind of with injuries. They weren't quite as good as they have been in the past. And so I think that's definitely going to be an area for improvement for them. But I think you look at this offense and one, there's going to be very minimal turnover, I think, for at least for the next 2 or 3 seasons on this offense. You're going to have some rotational receivers, I think, come in and out each year. Like tight end wise, they're set for a while. Offensive line wise, they seem to be pretty good, and that's only going to get better. James Cook and Ray Davis and company, like that's a good running back group there as well. Ty Johnson had a really good season coming in there late. And so I think this offense is really good. And they're set up well for success for the long haul. This defense, I think, is where I would be like quote unquote concerned. But even then, I think part of it was they moved on from Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. They lost some veteran leadership. They had some injuries throughout the season. And they really just kind of struggled to continue to stack week after week and continue to improve. The one conversation, I'm curious on Bills fans' opinions of this, is this Sean McDermott's ceiling? Can Sean McDermott only get you to the playoffs until you play to the Kansas City Chiefs? Like, is this the best that he will ever be able to do? Because I feel like Josh Allen made the plays. Josh Allen, like, to be fair, I have been critical of Kansas City all season long. I do not feel like that they are as good of a team as I do not even really feel like they should be in the Super Bowl. And you guys should have beat Kansas City. And as hard as that is to swallow that they still ended up winning, I'm sorry for that. But like this team was there to get over the hump. I just feel like there were a few like minor coaching decisions that you guys could have uh maybe thought through a little bit more. That Sean McDermott may have made the wrong decision. And so I'm just curious, like on what Sean McDermott's ceiling is as a whole.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and it's an interesting discussion too. Like just for example, it's like I know like people in Detroit would be like Jared Goff's not the guy, but at the same time though too, it's and just as a comparison, be like, well, who else would you want to go and get? And to me, I think it's kind of almost the same thing with Sean McDermott. Is it's like he's got you here
Yeah.
like the past several years in a row, essentially, where like put you into this point. Sometimes you just lose football games. Like sometimes some people are just a little bit greater and maybe have a point. Maybe you need to go and
Yeah.
find something else. But at the same time, though, too, I really think you risk having the reverse effect and
Yeah.
you
No, no,
go
no.
in an opposite direction.
And I agree with that. I just don't know at a certain point, like, and granted, I would rather be going to AFC championship games and losing than not going to AFC championship games at all. But if your whole goal is to win a Super Bowl, I think you need to have a conversation on if Sean McDermott can actually go and do that for you or not.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think it'd be an interesting conversation this offseason. And over the next couple seasons, like who would you want to be that guy? Like, so I think
Yeah.
Joe Brady's doing an amazing job just focusing on this offense. How can you make this offense great? And I think kind of as we get into like this next slide here, like who their free agents are, it's like there's not really that many, and a couple of it are some of their key receivers. But I don't think you really need to bring back Amari Cooper. Matt Collins, maybe you'd want to bring back as just a veteran guy who also I think he likes living in Buffalo, walk around with his bare feet on. And so, but I think that's what Keon Coleman's role is, and it actually worked out perfectly with Keon Coleman missing some time this year. That he's going to be that primary X guy, that deep ball guy, and that's what those two guys are for. So I think here with them having limited cap space, actually technically as of right now, over the cap, according to over the cap, at about $7 million, $8 million or so, they can clear up some space. But it's not too many guys that they need to re-sign from their current team. And I think if they make some extensions, which I'm sure you can pay Josh Allen some more money as well to clear up some cap space or figure something out there, because he's not going anywhere, obviously, and bring back some of the key guys that you want to have. But in general, though, a vast majority of the guys I think are going to be coming back, like Gregory Rousseau, AJ Espinosa. I want to make sure I got that right. Yeah, Von Miller at Oliver. Daquan Jones is still there as well. These are your top 5 sack leading guys as well. Is I've always been impressed with I think they have a great front 7 and rotational piece. So I was going to be curious on what they end up doing on the secondary side. Like, do they want to re-sign DeMar Hamlin, who is a fan favorite, absolutely, but he is going to be a little bit more expensive than his pretty much like league minimum contract that he was playing on now. And the same thing with
Yeah.
Roswell Douglas.
Yeah. The one for me that is the cap casualty here is going to be Von Miller. He's 36. They'll save
Yeah.
17.4 million if they
So
cut him with a post June 1st designation. And so that to me, I think is the big one there
yeah,
of who probably gets released to make up that.
and that's
And
fair.
then and they can restructure some other contracts to free up some money, but I believe that gets them well back into positive
That
territory.
now 10 million in positive, and I'm sure they do some other
Yeah.
restructuring, then
Yeah.
that'll be perfect for them. And even to your point, Von Miller played in 13 games but never started. He was a pure like pass rush specialist. So I think that's actually a good point. And so they have plenty of other pieces that they draft well. And if they want to even
Mhm.
focus more on the defensive line, this is a class to do it. But there's also
Yeah.
a lot of other good guys as well, I think, to help out with the back half of that defense
Yeah.
in this upcoming draft.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of get into some of the targets, DJ Reed to go get a division rival, T Higgins if they want to add another big bodied receiver, Devondre Campbell to get a linebacker in that room. Robert Spillane from Las Vegas is another really
He's
solid
also a
linebacker
linebacker.
as
Yeah.
yeah. Is also a really good linebacker as well. And so, like, there's a lot of options I think that they could go out, especially too, if they're going to restructure contracts and they can get to about 30 million, they could go add 4 or 5 pieces, I think, to this team that can be at the very least just like rotational contributors. And then also too, you'll have the rookie class coming in. So some corners at the end of the first round, Trey Amos, Siobhan Ravel, Jade Barron might be there as well. I think that would be an interesting option. A guy that I like is Jahad Campbell. To me, he could be your Tremaine Edmonds replacement. They're very similar in size and stature and play strength and play style. So I think that would be interesting. And then Andrew Mukuba, Kevin Winston Jr. get some safeties there on day 2. You also got to look at some of the edge rushers at that point. Michael Williams could be available. Get him across from Gregory Rousseau. That would be some freak athletes there. Nick Scorton, I think, will go in the back half of the first round. There's a lot of edge rushers in this class. Princely Uman Mielen, Kyle Kennard, Donovan Ezaraku. The list just kind of goes on and on. TJ Sanders is another one. Shamar Stewart. Like, there's just so many guys that are going to be in this edge class that are going to go pretty early on. So you can get great value in the second or third round. And they have 2 second-round picks, no third rounder. So could potentially move back in one of those and accumulate even more draft capital than what they already have. So all in all, I think the Bills, they're in a really good spot going forward. That Sean McDermott discussion at the beginning is more anecdotal. I don't expect them to make any irrational moves or anything like that. I just think it's a realistic conversation that Bills fans, I think should have.
Well,
But
and let's kind of build off that a little bit. It'd be like, I think Sean McDermott can be the guy, but I still think
yeah,
that they need some more pieces around him. Like, for example, when they had Stephon Diggs, when he was one of the best receiver, I just don't think the team was there. I don't think Josh Allen was
mhm.
there yet. I do think Josh Allen is there, beside
Oh yeah,
all the memes or the trolling by the Chiefs has been, just like with everything, like his face right before that final drive. I think he's there. I think he's ready. And so, by the same time, though, too, he can only carry the team so far. And that's why I threw T.
yeah,
Higgins in there. And you want to talk about somebody, he's just the best receiver in this class. And I think he can
yeah,
get, or in this free agency class. There's not going to be a receiver that you can draft, especially with where they're picking, that is going to be exponentially great, unless you really want to trade up and go get like a Ted McMillan or go get like an Emeka Egbuka and trade up some decent draft capital to go and get that guy who would be a big impact for your team immediately. But T. Higgins, though, I think what's interesting for Buffalo also too, because this has been a very hot topic, I know, in your world. But Bills don't want to have to go up against T. Higgins twice a year. They already
yeah,
don't like going up against him against Cincinnati or any of these other top receivers as well. And I think T. Higgins would be a perfect blend to what Keon Coleman provides, to what Khalil Shakir provides, and you're in a win now mode, like with Buffalo. Like this defense is only going to get better as you meant. You move on from Von Miller; they're pretty young outside of Von Miller, just in general. I think the secondary is going to get better as they bring on better talent. This offense, I think, is clicking. Joe Brady, you probably have one more year with Joe Brady. I think he's going to be a hot commodity going into next offseason for a coaching candidate as well.
yeah,
I think you got to go get T. Higgins because I think he's a perfect blend between Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakur. I think the Dalton
yeah.
Kincaid. I think he took a step back this year, but also this whole offense, I think, took a step back this year, stat production wise. I mean, especially too
Yeah.
when it comes to passing wise. I think if you
Efficiency, they were top of the
efficiency,
league.
they're very efficient. But if you're just looking at like just pure raw numbers, they're much better, much more efficient running the ball, and then open things up in the passing game as well, which meant more for a lot of the
Yeah.
big body receivers in the red zone. So uh, I I think T Higgins, and we say T Higgins for a lot of these teams who are needing receivers because it just makes sense. But this team specifically, if you're going to go and spend some money, like outside of Cincinnati, though, I think Buffalo is the one of the few teams that make a serious case to go spend some money, because we could win next year if we add this guy to the team. And I think it's something Buffalo will heavily consider if Cincinnati
Mhm.
lets him walk.
Yeah, I do. I also do think too, like they could be in a DeAndre Hopkins type situation where he got
Potentially.
cut from the Cardinals late in the offseason and then got added to the Titans on like a 2-year, $28 million deal. And so I think that they could be a late mover on one of these wide receivers who will eventually just become available based off of cap casualties or something, or
Potentially.
like a disagreement with the front office on a new contract. So I think it's going to be interesting, just kind of seeing what the Bills do going forward. But let's go ahead and wrap things up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of the Bills 2024 season. Were you happy with it? Did you think Josh Allen got the first down on that QB sneak? And let us know what you want to see
He
them
did.
do in the 2025 offseason. Oh, he definitely did.
He did.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and that pass on the next fourth down was just absolutely insane that even hit Kincaid in the hands. So,
I know.
uh,
Yeah.
but anyways, let us know what you want to see the Bills do in the 2025 offseason. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.